The Masters is one of the most prestigious golf tournaments in the world, held at the iconic Augusta National Golf Club. Playing Augusta is a privilege that every golfer dreams of, but not many get to actually do. John Bednarowski of the Gwinnett Daily Journal and Times Journal Incorporated got a chance to play the course and is taking us on a hole-by-hole tour of his round. Join us later in this episode for the exclusive feature on this legendary course as we take a closer look at the history, traditions, and the magic of the Augusta National and Masters, presented by Ingalls. Welcome to the Gwinnett Daily Post Podcast. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, and happy 37th birthday to Lady Gaga. I'm Bruce Jenkins, and here are your top stories presented by Peggy Slappy Properties. A grand jury indicted the former Doraville police officer accused of murdering Susana Morales. A body found in Yellow River Park is believed to be that of a child that went missing Saturday night. And the Gwinnett Chamber gave their Medal of Valor to the firefighters who helped save a mother and daughter from the Chattahoochee. Plus, as we prepare for the 2023 Masters, Times Journal Incorporated sports editor John Bednarowski continues to take us through his round of golf at Augusta National, presented by Ingalls. We'll have all of this and more on the Gwinnett Daily Post Podcast.
Hi, I'm Peggy with Peggy Slappy Properties. Our experienced realtors are ready to make the play and help you find your next home. Whether buying, selling, or renting, our winning team will help you navigate today's market. Call us today, 770-271-5555, or check us out online at psponline.com. Enriching lives one story at a time with over 40 years and counting.
A former Doraville police officer, Miles Bryant, has been indicted by a Gwinnett County grand jury on charges related to the murder of 16-year-old Susana Morales, who went missing last summer and whose remains were found in February. The four-count indictment, including malice, murder, and felony murder, also charged Bryant with kidnapping and false report of a crime. Police believe Bryant kidnapped and killed Morales between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. on July 26, 2022, and dumping her body in a wooded area near Drowning Creek off State Route 316. Since his arrest, other incidents have emerged and are under investigation. The body of a child matching the description of a 4-year-old boy who went missing in the Yellow River Saturday night was discovered Sunday by rescue crews, Gwinnett Fire and Emergency Services officials said. Officials said the body was discovered just after 10:30 Sunday morning. The rescue crews had resumed their search at 8:15 a.m. at Yellow River Park after suspending their search due to nightfall on Saturday. Fire officials said 3 boats were deployed into the river and worked with teams on the riverbanks to begin a grid search from the location in the river where the witnesses placed the victim, who was last seen downstream towards the Annistown Road Bridge. Search teams located a pediatric male that matched the description provided by the mother at 10:30 a.m. this morning, Captain Ryan Gibney said. The body was removed from the water and turned over to the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office for investigation. Officials asked for prayers for the family. The missing child was reported at 5:41 p.m. on Saturday when firefighters responded to a report of a river rescue at Yellow River Park, which is located at 3050 Juan Road Southwest in Stone Mountain. Three firefighters in Georgia were awarded the Gwinnett Chamber's Gold Medal of Valor for their bravery in rescuing a mother and daughter from the fast-moving waters of the Chattahoochee River. The trio of paramedic Captain Jason Weiss and firamedic seniors Fred Rosser and Matthew Burton train weekly to familiarize themselves with the conditions of the river, especially when water from Lake Lanier is released through Buford Dam, which causes the current to quickly pick up. The mother and daughter were out on a family fishing trip when the Army Corps of Engineers began releasing water from the dam, causing the river's water level to rise and its current to speed up. Gwinnett players racked up top honors on the Sandy Spiel All-State basketball teams for the 2022-2023 season. The award winners included 3 first-team selections on the All-Georgia team, which features the top players from all classifications. Brookwood's Diana Collins and Wesleyan's Chit-Chat Bright on the girls' list, and Grayson's Chikari Harris on the boys' list. Lanier's Omar Garcia was second-team All-Georgia, while Buford's Ava Grace Watson, Grayson's Tatum Brown, Hebron's Christian Aubrey Beckham, and Norcross's Janiyah Atkins were honorable mention All-Georgia. Head over to GwinnettPrepSports.com for a list of honorees.
Everyone is worried about inflation, and for many on a fixed income, Tom M. Wages Funeral Service pre-funding funeral prearrangements allows you to beat inflation. Because we put your money in a trust, Tom M. Wages is able to guarantee your family will not have to pay the future costs of goods and services, regardless of how much it increases in the future. Prices will always go up. A sure way to save money and beat inflation is to pre-fund your prearranged funeral today. Let the family service professionals at Tom M. Wages in Snellville or Lawrenceville help you. Call Tom M. Wages at 770-978-3200 or email Jim at wagesfuneralhome.com. Tom M. Wages, the most respected and requested funeral home in Gwinnett County.
Engineered Solutions of Georgia. We guarantee a stable, dry foundation. With over 30 years of experience and a lifetime of support, residential and commercial. Hey, we do it all. For basement waterproofing and repairs to your foundation. Dial 678 ESOG now.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans in the United States and Newfoundland.
And now, here's Liam Gottimer of the Atlanta Gladiators to give us our update as the Glads continue to push towards the playoffs.
And we're back with Liam Gottimer of the Atlanta Gladiators. And Liam, we got a pretty good week we're about to talk about. Well, first we'll talk about this past Friday night where the Glads fell up just a little bit short in overtime to the Maine Mariners.
Yeah, just one game to report on this week, Matt. And as always, it's good to be here with you. And of course, this past Friday night, Marvel's superhero night at Gas South Arena, the Gladiators returned home, and they would score the first goal of the game about halfway through the first period. Mitch Walensky on a breakaway, his third goal of his professional career, gave the Gladiators a 1-0 lead. Sang-Hoon Shin would score on the power play, gave the Gladiators a 2-0 lead. And Michal Mrazek, in his return from the American Hockey League from the Tucson Roadrunners, he would score in the second period as well. The Gladiators would enter the third period up 3 goals, and unfortunately, it would be a 3-goal third period comeback for the Mariners, forcing overtime, and Maine won in overtime as well. So the Gladiators able to grab the 1 point, but certainly that extra point certainly got away from them on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough to have a 3-goal lead and not be able to come away with a win, but definitely always good to come away with some point from the game, which was nice. And so, you know, after that kind of a quiet week, we now have a very busy week. I'm sure you'll be a very busy man, so we'll start off with Wednesday night. Is against those Florida Everblades, who, as we've talked about, are really the team the Glads need to get some wins against.
Absolutely, Matt. And the standings, they actually work in the Gladiators' favor, because solely at the moment in fourth place in that final playoff spot are the Florida Everblades. And like you said, 5 more meetings before the end of the regular season for the Gladiators and the Everblades, and the first one this upcoming Wednesday. So it's going to be a big week, and it starts with perhaps the biggest game of the season. And
we talked about, you know, not just with this being that this is an awesome, huge game, playoff implications on the line, and you can get in this game for $5. I think it's $5 Wednesday when you bring in pet supplies to help out the Atlanta Humane Society. And you're not ever really going to find a huge game like this that you can get in for that price anywhere else.
It's an outstanding deal, and of course, it's the last Wednesday game of the regular season for the Gladiators. So fans, if you haven't taken advantage of the promotion yet, I would do so this Wednesday. Like you said, playoff implications, it's a big-time game, and helping out outside of the hockey world as well. So,
absolutely. Anytime you can watch a little hockey and give back to the community, that's a great way to do it. So we'll go on Friday. The Glads are on the road, and they're facing the in-state rival Savannah Ghost Pirates.
Yep, last meeting between the Gladiators and the Ghost Pirates coming up on Friday night. And, you know, if the Gladiators are able to get the victory on Wednesday against the Everblades, it puts them in a good position standing-wise. And then you go and face a Ghost Pirates team that previously, early on in the season, the Gladiators have had a bunch of success against. So that could be 2 victories in a row heading into this upcoming weekend, which is 2 more huge matchups against the Everblades. I know I skipped ahead there, but they all coincide and run together. So this is a huge week for the Glads.
Yeah. So after the game on Friday night, the Glads head back up to Duluth, where Saturday night they'll have another game with those Everblades. Again, a big game. And the other thing going on is it's Star Wars night. Last week you had all the Marvel fun and all that exciting stuff. This week, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is really a good time to come out.
Yep, definitely want to check out Star Wars Night, of course, coming up this Saturday, and then Fan Appreciation Day on Sunday afternoon as well. So it's just combining the promotions that we from the Gladiators have available. And again, just 3 huge games this week against an opponent that you couldn't have written a better script for the Gladiators to sneak themselves into the postseason.
And in addition to Sunday being Fan Appreciation Day, it's the last home game of the regular season.
Yep, it's the last home game of the regular season. $15 kids tickets as well going along with Fan Appreciation Day. And again, definitely if you haven't gotten yourself out to a Gladiators game, or if you have and you want to check out the Glads one more time before the regular season comes to a close at Gas South Arena, I would totally recommend doing so.
It's so hard to believe we're already at this point that we're getting to the last few games of the regular season. We're the playoff push, a lot of exciting stuff, but it's definitely been a fast-moving season. But hopefully some good wins will happen for the Glads this weekend, and maybe we'll be looking at playoffs here pretty soon.
Hopefully, Matt, for sure. And you're right, the regular season has come to a close too early. So, hopefully the Glads have some playoff hockey in store for all of us.
Absolutely. Well, as always, Liam, I appreciate you coming by and look forward to talking next week as we continue this ride to the end of the season.
My pleasure, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Andrew Carnes, Partnership Gwinnett's former Vice President of Economic Development, has left the Economic Development Organization after nearly a decade to join Georgia Power as a Community and Economic Development Manager for the Northeast region. The region Carnes will be working with includes about 24 counties and cities. Partnership Gwinnett is the economic development arm of the Gwinnett Chamber, which is currently looking for candidates to fill the vacancy created by Carnes' departure. Gwinnett Chamber and Partnership Gwinnett President Nick Massino praises Carnes' hiring by Georgia Power and said they are actively seeking a replacement to lead Partnership Gwinnett. Mill Creek wrestlers Amonte Mills and Antonio Mills won titles in the National High School Coaches Association National Tournament in Virginia Beach over the weekend. Amonte won the senior national title at 126 pounds, while Antonio won the freshman national title at 113 pounds. Mill Creek sophomore Dominique Bambinelli was the runner-up at 152 pounds. Buford wrestler Drew Gorman also won the sophomore championship at 132 pounds in the tournament, going 7-0 and defeating Anthony Luciami of Stevens City, Virginia in the finals. And now, as we get closer to the start of the 2023 Masters, Times Journal Incorporated sports editor John Bednarowski joins the show to continue to take us on a tour of Augusta National presented by Ingalls.
And we're back. I'm Brian Giffen with John Bednarowski, the sports editor of the Marietta Daily Journal, and we're covering the Masters 2023. John will be over there covering the tournament this year, as he normally does. And John, as we've talked about, had the opportunity to play Augusta National. What a dream thing that is. And he's given us now holes 1 through 12, and now we go to the last third of the fabled golf course. John, lucky number 13, or was it?
Yes, it was good. And, this, I got to play the golf course in 2018, and I remember every single shot vividly. Well, at least the good ones. And 13 was one of those good holes. 13's a par 5, and there's you leave the 12th hole behind Rays Creek, and you go over and tee off. And I did not hit a good tee shot. So I barely got it off the ground. It was, it carried out into the fairway, but I'm just barely in there. And I hit my second shot when I hit my tee shot, I was in one of the flat areas. There's about 5 flat areas on the entire property at Augusta National, and I managed to find it. And I hit a really good layup, because there's no way I could go from the green from where I was, and I left myself. I left myself about 120 yards into the green, and I yanked my third shot left. And I mean, it was left of left to where I thought, okay, here comes my first 7 or worse of the day. But when I got to my ball, I got lucky. I avoided sand. I was in the little gully left of the green, but I still felt like I had almost an impossible chip shot because I'm coming up over the ridge, and then the ball is going to go downhill toward the hole, and the tributary that runs to Ray's Creek is like 5 feet off the edge, where if it goes just a little too far, it's going to go down into the water, and then I've got no chance. But I hit a pretty good pitch shot, ended up about 10 feet behind the hole, and I 2-putted for bogey. And it was one of those where I had put myself twice in such a bad spot. To walk off the hole with a bogey, it felt like a birdie. It was, you see all these guys. Curtis Strange knocked a ball in the water in '85, and it kept him from winning. And you see, 13 Fred Couples hit it left and imploded one year, and then you get Phil Mickelson hitting it out from underneath the pine trees to 4 feet. People forget that was one of the greatest shots Phil hit, but then he missed the putt and settled for birdie instead of making an incredible eagle. But he went on to win the tournament, so who's counting? But that is one of those biggest risk-reward holes in golf. And, there are such things as good bogeys, and I felt like I made one there.
Well, so far, so good. Again, really throughout for somebody who had never played there. And obviously, it's one of the toughest golf courses in the world, which is part of the whole thing, after all. Now we go to the 14th, and you're starting to get now into those holes where the difference is made ultimately on the last day of the fabled tournament. What are your thoughts as you look back to hole number 14 at Augusta?
14, I was tired. I mean, again, I'm overweight. I will admit it. I make a lot of jokes about that being the case, but I was even more overweight at that time, and I really started to feel it on the 14th hole. And 14 is basically straight uphill. Now, the last few holes, you're going to go straight uphill on 14. You're going to go straight downhill on 15. 16 is low, so that's relatively flat. But then 17 is up straight uphill, and then 18 is extreme uphill.
Right.
So about this time, my legs are starting to feel like Jell-O.
And you've been walking this thing after all.
Been walking the whole time, and trust me, I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Of course.
But I'm really starting to feel it, and I hit one of my worst tee shots of the day. I hit it left into the trees, because what you want to do on that hole, the pros, they'll hit. A lot of times they'll hit 3-wood, they'll hit a little cut shot. Now the fairway goes from left to right, so you got to be careful where you land it so it remains in the fairway. But then, for the pros, their second shot, they have a relatively straightforward second shot, 8-iron, 9-iron wedge, somewhere in there where they can really take aim at the pin, which is generally in the bowl over there on the right-hand side, where you can hit it, have the ball feed down there, and potentially make a birdie. I hit my ball so far left into the trees that I couldn't see the fairway from where I was. And I hit my second shot, and I got lucky. There's a rule or an adage that trees are 90% air. In this particular case, they were correct.
Wow.
I hit some leaves going through. I don't know how I managed to not hit branches, but I was still left of left over there, but I got to where I could at least make an attempt at the green. I was still hitting like 9-iron in. And I hit it, and I thought I was going to get lucky and have it catch the slope and curl down and maybe make a par, but it went all the way to the back edge and it hung up in the fringe. So now I'm 20 feet above the hole, And again, I wanted to read the greens. When I was a good player, I could putt the ball really well. And I did a really good job of reading greens. And my caddy, David, I said, I'm going to read the greens, and then I'm going to defer to you, and you tell me where I'm supposed to putt. So I line up the putt, and I think I've got about a 6 or 7 foot right to left break, because it's going to go down the slope and then start making a left-hand turn. And once again, he looks at me and says no, and he walks about 10 feet farther to the right, and he says, putt it over this spot. So I'm coming off the fringe, and I aim way over there, and sure enough, it gets right to where he was, and it looks like it's going to die right there. And the next thing you know, it takes this 90-degree left-hand turn and rolls down by the hole, and I had a little tap in about 8 inches for a bogey, and ran to the 15th tee.
Well, you just heard him say it. So now we're on to the 15th, and he ran there. Even though he was tired, coming up the last hole, he ran to the 15th. How was the 15th for you?
Well, I told you way back on the first episode of this, I managed to par number 2 and number 4, and I told you there weren't a whole lot more pars to be made. But I got up on 15, hit it in the fairway, hit a second shot down on the flat area on the left-hand side of the fairway, kind of over where the Saracen Bridge starts to go around the pond that guards the green. And this is another one of those greens where you're looking at it on TV and the thing looks huge.
Right.
And it is, it's large from left edge to right edge. But it's really only, it seems like where the pin was, it's only about 20 feet deep. And I hit a pitching wedge, and it went right over the stick and landed about, 12 feet behind the hole. So I was feeling pretty good about myself, because earlier that week, Sergio Garcia had come in as the defending champion and knocked 5 balls in the water and took a 13. So, again, I read my putt, and David says, no, you got to aim another 10 feet over here to the right. And I hit it right where he wanted me to, and it went out and it circled and came back around the bottom of the cup, and I had about 2 feet straight up the hill coming back. Made the putt for par and beat the defending champion by 8 shots on that
Wow.
hole. So,
that.
And when you look back, that may be arguably the most famous hole out there, because, Nicklaus in 86 makes eagle there. You've got you've got all the players that are going for the green in 2, and that and 16 are probably where the tournament is decided on Sunday afternoon more often than not.
Well, he mentioned 16, and that's where we head now. The 16th hole at Augusta National. John Bednarowski of the Marietta Daily Journal had the opportunity to play at Augusta National, covering the Masters, as he always does. And we're visiting with John today. Let's talk about hole number 16. You're getting close to the end here.
In 86, Nicklaus almost holed out for a 1 on his way to victory. Tiger has the famous shot of chipping in from behind the green, going up the slope and bringing it back down and having the ball just sit on the edge. So Nike got a really long free commercial that particular day. And, where the pin normally is, it's in the bottom left section toward the back of the green. The bunker is just to the left, and you've got this giant slope over here on the right. It's become a very popular spot lately, because for just about every year now on Sunday, you're having at least 1, if not 2, sometimes 3 players make holes in 1 on that, because it's in that traditional spot, and they know that if they hit the club the right distance and play it out onto the slope there on the right, it's going to bring it right back down to the hole, and they should have a relatively easy chance at a birdie. Well, I'm not them. So I've got a 6-iron in my hand, and it's playing about 165 for us. And I hit it solid, but I pulled it left. But I didn't pull it left far enough to where it got into the water. I hit it into that bunker there that guards the hole there on the left-hand side. And what I tried to do was I tried to use the slope. I was going to hit my bunker shot, take it out past the pin, and bring it back. And I was hoping to hit a spot because I thought it would bring it right back down to the hole. And again, I pulled it a little left. So it went up the slope and came back down the back edge. And for the second time during the round, I hit the putt way too hard. So I had a 10-footer, 8-10-footer for par. Now I've got an 8-10-footer for bogey. And luckily enough, I hit a good putt and it went in. So, there's a whole lot of good bogeys in this round of golf.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What a great opportunity. And it sounds like you acquitted yourself really well. We're 16 holes in now. 2 of them left. John talked about it. 17 is uphill. 18 is almost straight uphill.
From the water that flows from your tap to the roads you drive on your way to work, Gwinnett County government provides high-quality services to residents every day. Our residents, businesses, schools, local governments, and nonprofits have a long tradition of working together to make Gwinnett the best place to live, work, play, and raise a family. Together, we'll ensure that Gwinnett is a place where everyone thrives. Learn more about county services at GwinnettCounty.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GwinnettGov.
Thanks again for listening to today's Gwinnett Daily Post Podcast. Did you know over 50% of Americans listens to podcasts weekly? Make sure you join us for our next episode, and be sure to share this podcast on social media with your friends and family. Add us to your Alexa Flash Briefing or your Google Home Briefing, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. Darren Sutherland, executive producer. Jacob Sutherland, director. Producers Jason Gentarola and Matt Golden. And Jinrei Zhang, video producer. All rights reserved.